Okay, let me do some switching around here because I don't have any notes with this one anyway. Okay, so Unit 4, Part B. This is role of the manager and member of the profession as an LPN. So here's some responsibilities as a member of the profession. You must practice within the legal and ethical parameters of the role. So this is maintaining clinical competence, personal and professional growth. Beneficence, this is doing good. Maleficence is doing harm. Malpractice is causing harm due to something in your practice. And then neglect is not carrying out a duty that you owe a patient or a client, and it's something that a prudent nurse would do. Assault and battery, this is a threat and physical harm. Libel is a written lie. Slander is verbal lie. Scope of practice. So what are things you can do as part of your level of nursing? Well, you must follow your own state laws. Here is a link to the Iowa Board of Nursing's laws. Nurse Practice Act. This is a federal law that allows states to have their own board of nursing. For credentialing, these are additional academic or professional qualifications you can have. So LPN would be that licensed practical nurse. RN is a registered nurse, so those are professional qualifications. Associate degree in nursing, bachelor's degree in nursing, Master of Science in nursing, and Doctorate of Nursing Practice. Those are all academic qualifications. Those are all things to advance your degree. TNCC, that is a professional qualification. That's just one example of like the trauma nurse care that you can get certification. Continuing education. So you will be required to do hours of continuing education in order to renew your license. Now, every state has their own laws when it comes to this. Iowa requires 36 hours of continuing education in order to renew your license. Now, I believe the first time you get a nursing license, it is good for 2 years. And then after that, it's good for 3 years, but you still need 36 hours in order to renew. Do not let your license expire. There's one thing that you learn, it is not to let your license expire. That can have hefty fees or even mean that you need to take the state board's exam. So I know lots of retired nurses that have kept their license active because just in case, they don't want to ever have to take that board's exam again. Keep track of your continuing education hours because you can be audited by the Iowa Board of Nursing or whatever board of nursing that you are going to be licensed with. And so like every time I do a continuing education class or something, and they award CUs or CEs, I think it's CEs, I get a certificate and I keep all those certificates so that if I do get audited, I've got proof that I have my 36 hours. Professional organizations, these are additional things that you can join. It is a way for you to have a voice when making laws in Congress and that kind of thing. They usually require some kind of dues in order to join. So like money, they help in lawmaking, they advocate for different things in nursing practice. The National Student Nurses Association, I've had students join that in the past and they have made a difference in how we provide nursing care. The American Nurses Association, the ANA, the National League of Nursing, the NLN, Sigma Theta Tau International, I'm part of that one. And then there's ones that are specific to your part of nursing practice, like the Emergency Nurses Association. Preceptor experience. So there are some pretty important highlights. First off, submit your calendar in the preceptor Canvas shell before you start. Okay, very important. If you do 3 shifts and then you're like, oh, I never submitted my calendar, I've had this happen before, that's too bad. Those 3 shifts no longer count and you're going to have to make those up. I did have a student I was contacting constantly. Have you submitted your calendar? Have you submitted your calendar? She never looked at her email. That's the only method of communication I had with this person. And well, she had started before submitting her calendar. If you start your shifts before the calendar is submitted, they will not count. Keep your calendar up to date in Canvas. That is very important because your preceptor coordinator needs to know where you are at all times. Notify your preceptor coordinator of any changes immediately. If they're student initiated or if they're preceptor initiated or whatever the cause is, you must do that. And then you can also not do preceptorship when the college is closed. Those dates will be found on the preceptor Canvas shell that in the announcements, I believe, is where those dates will be. You must do 72 hours. That must be your total at the end of the experience. Up to 8 hours can be orientation, but even if you only do 2 hours of orientation, you must do 72 hours total. Shifts must be in 8 or 12-hour increments. Okay, if you do a 10-hour shift, please try to stay 2 more hours so that you can get a 12-hour shift in. Otherwise, after 8 hours, those last 2 to 10 hours will not count. We only do 8 or 12-hour increments. And you must stay for the whole shift too for it to count. You can't go in for 8 hours on a 12-hour shift and go home sick. Those 8 hours, it's like they never happened. You must follow a nurse. That is very important. You cannot follow a med aid. They are not a nurse. This experience is for nursing. You can follow an LPN or an RN, but they must be a nurse. Goals. What are my goals for you? If you look at the back of your competency book, you will see the evaluations. There's a midway and a final evaluation. Those are meant for you and your preceptor to fill out together. Because if there are, any concerns or whatever, you can have an opportunity to address those. This isn't meant to be argumentative or anything. This is an experience for you to grow, take the criticism, become a better nurse because of it. So, I expect that midway report to be some needs improvement. I expect that, okay? You're learning. But by that final evaluation, I really want them to be all satisfactory. Well, what are things that I'm specifically looking at? I'm specifically looking at, can you be independent in your practice? So meaning that you can need your preceptor less and less as you progress through your preceptor experience. You must be supervised at all times, okay? So when you go to actually give meds, you can't do those by yourself, okay? You must be supervised because you're still a nursing student. Even in the preceptor experience, you're still a nursing student. But you should be able to work independently by the end of the experience to where she's just following you, or he or she is just following you and making sure that you're doing what you need to be doing and you're not asking all these questions of your preceptor by the end of the experience, okay? So being supervised but working independently where they're just monitoring what you're doing. And that's it.